Hi everyone, this is Natasha from Nat Healing, and today I'm talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is forgiveness. In my group, somebody asked me, how can we forgive things, not that we did, but things that we have allowed others to do, and where we did not take care of our own boundaries. And it's just forgiveness in general, forgiveness to ourselves, like forgiving ourselves, forgiving others. There's a few principles that can help us a lot to forgive when we know them. Now, first of all, from a 5D perspective, from a unity consciousness perspective, of course, there is nothing to forgive, as from that perspective, we create our own reality. And it's all in divine order, it's all perfect, it's all well. But if really tough things happen to you, at least for me it was like that, you want to smack everyone in the face who's telling you that. I can understand that fully. So how can we forgive so we can feel free of the whole story, and we can feel free in our hearts? Because that's actually what forgiveness is about. Just a second. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cough and I need to take care of my voice. But I felt so inspired to do this video that I decided to do it anyway. Okay, so forgiveness does not mean that we say it's okay what happened in terms of you can do it again. Not forgiving is not protecting us from this happening again. Not forgiving is not protecting us from others harming us. And that's usually what's happening on a subconscious level, that we think that if we don't forgive, we can protect ourselves. So let go of that. Forgiveness is just freeing your heart. You can forgive somebody. You can even love somebody and still take care of yourself. So you could forgive a perpetrator and still stay away from him. You can forgive an abusive parent and still take care of yourself. Okay? So that's two things. And if we can realize that we can do both, it helps a lot to forgive. So we can also forgive ourselves for what we did allow others to do to us. Like if you were, for instance, in a relationship, or you allowed somebody to do things that you should have stood up for yourself and honor yourself. You can forgive yourself for that and honor yourself from now on. Okay, so that's the first thing, the first principle that's important to understand. So there's this saying of not forgiving is like drinking poison and expecting the rat to die. While I don't really like that because it's a bit negative, there's a lot of truth in that, because not forgiving is like drinking poison in a way, because it's toxic to us. So we're only poisoning ourselves if we're not forgiving. That being said, please don't beat yourself up for not being able to forgive. Just have the intention and allow the divine timing to take its place. Because, you know, I've been beating myself up for not being able to forgive someone in my life. And I couldn't understand why, because I really thought I was over everything. But I couldn't forgive. There was still some resentment. And I could realize that because I would walk through town and I would see this person and I would immediately think something about this person. So I realized I was triggered by the sheer presence, and I realized I didn't really fully forgive, because otherwise I wouldn't be triggered. I would just be in my power and be in my authentic self, and that would not touch me anymore to see that person. And then I started beating myself up for not being able to forgive, and why is it still triggering me, and I should have forgiven for a long time, and I'm a coach myself and I know all of that. But forget about it. Only when I realized I can accept myself and I can allow the timing that I need, and it's okay, And what if I never forgive? It's okay. Even that part, it's just giving yourself permission to be where you are. That's the second thing. Don't beat yourself up. Don't judge yourself. Just have the intention to forgive, let it go, and do your forgiveness work. That's great. Just do not judge yourself if you realize that you haven't forgiven yet. Very important. That's the second point that I would love to point out about forgiveness. And there's also sometimes a part of us who wants validation, right? And that was the thing that kept me from forgiving, because there was still a part of me saying like, but it was so unfair, everybody should know how unfair it was, so I would be validated, and they would see my heart, and they would see my pure intentions, and they would see that I was okay, and that I was right, and the other person was wrong. It's funny to say that in front of the camera, but it's really what's happening so many times. And I had this amazing healing session with a person who has been through a huge trauma, who really lost a dear loved one, who committed suicide and left her in a situation that she didn't even know she was in, and she found out only after this person's death. That made her life so difficult. And she was so caught in that she couldn't forgive, she couldn't let go, even though this person was dead. And when we addressed that part that wanted to be validated, that wanted to be seen, and that wanted to be right, and that wanted the whole world to see that it was unfair what this person did to her, she could suddenly let go. And it was gone. And she was like, oh my God, how could I even engage in that drama? So really love that part. Love that part who wants to be validated. Love that part who wants the whole world to see that you were right and it was wrong what happened to you. Just put your hands on your heart, take a deep breath, and say, I love you. I see you. And I'm so sorry what you had to go through. It's okay. It's okay. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me for not having been there, for not having seen you. I love you. And it's all well. It's over. It happened. It's over. And it's okay now. I see you. And just love that part. Send love. Send love. Send love to all of your parts, to the protective parts that wants to protect you. Just take time and be with it. It will shift. It will start shifting your energy. And it will start shifting your energy so you can start forgiving. So those are three major points. So let go of trying to be right or validated. Just love that part. Give it to that part. Give it to yourself. You want to be validated. You want to be seen. So give that love to yourself. You think you're protecting yourself. Give that love to yourself. Thank you. Thank you for trying to protect me. And I'm intending now to forgive, as I know that this is not protecting me. I'm an adult. I can take care of myself now. I can forgive and still take care of myself. I will choose differently. I'm an adult. I'm grown up. I've grown through this. Okay? So those are two things that you can do. And just always say, I love you and I forgive and I'm sorry. And then you can do the forgiveness step itself, which is really forgiving. Oh, one more thing. Forgiving and realizing, noticing that everyone, whatever they did or whatever you did what they did as best they could. And yes, our mind goes like, yeah, but they should have known better, and I told them 1,000 times, or I should have known better, and I've been through this situation, and I allowed it for years to happen. We all had that, all of us. So know that at that particular millisecond in time, or moment in time, or minute in time, or hour, at that particular moment in time, and with the consciousness that you had back then, in that moment, no matter why, if it's overwhelm, if it's stress, whatever triggered you at that moment, whatever kept you from standing up for yourself, or whatever it was that you cannot forgive. Whatever made those people do what they did, even if it was abuse or murder or anything, they could not have done better at that particular moment in time with the consciousness they had. And that's important, with the consciousness they had back then. And that's not judgment, like I'm higher and you're lower because you're doing all this stuff. It's just, we all are just where we are. And a person who is doing harm to others, for instance, is not doing that like, oh, I'm going to do harm to others now. They're either maybe they had abused themselves and all they learned is to abuse. Maybe whatever they went through, we don't know and we don't have to know. It's just the consciousness they're in, whatever they brought into their life and whatever they experienced through their lives brought them to where they are. Same for you. If you want to forgive yourself, you had a childhood, you have a past, you have stories, you have beliefs, you have filters, and all of that was in place in a particular constellation. I see it somehow like like files falling into each other, or like Lego bricks or anything like that. It's just this constellation that was active, the energy constellation that was active at that moment in time. So it's actually that consciousness that you had back then and the time that it happened. So there is actually just forgiveness and knowing they did the best they could just in that moment and just with that consciousness. If not, they would have done better. And so these are the points that I wanted to share and that will help you forgive. And it helps a lot when you're forgiving to put your hands on your heart, to do the heart pose, because in our heart, when we're in our heart, we expand. When you're in our heart, we can have access. We only have access to the true power of who we are and to that inner wisdom and inner guidance. And with your hands on your heart and with your awareness in your heart space, take a deep breath in and then just say, I forgive you. I know you couldn't have done better. I forgive you. Say to yourself, say to others. And that's how you can forgive yourself. So I hope those points were helpful. I hope it gave you some inspiration to think differently about forgiveness, or reminders of something that you needed to hear again. And let me know if you have questions, comment below and let me know. So let me know how it went for you, how you could implement this in your life, or how you're doing it. Maybe you have a great way of forgiving, or another point that's important from your point of view that you would love to share with others. So another thing that I would like to mention here is that on September 10th, I will be doing a whole healing session about releasing low vibrational energies like guilt, like shame, like anger, like frustration, like resentment. And a big part of that healing session is going to be forgiveness, an important part. So if you have something where you would like some guidance, or if you're inspired to let go of old emotions that don't serve you anymore, I will post in the links below, I will post the link to the healing session where you can get more information. It's also on my website, www.nathealing.net. So make sure to check that out. If you want to ask me personal questions online, you can do that in my beautiful group, Love Your Life with Nat Healing. It's a Facebook group. So start sharing, start posting, start asking, so we can keep the interaction going. Yes, and if you want, subscribe to my new YouTube channel, Love Your Life, Nat Healing as well. And click that red little bell so you will get updates about every video that I'm posting. Sorry, I was just like trying to imagine that red button, but it didn't work. I was like, what does it look like? But it doesn't matter. My mind goes in images and yeah, it's funny. So anyway, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like my videos. And I'm looking forward to talking to you again. Much love. Bye-bye.